Hello and welcome to another running video. This time I'm doing a bridges tour of Launceston, and I'm going to start with the King's Bridge, which is the one that goes over the South Esk River as it comes out of Cataract Gorge and then flows into becomes the Tamar. I think it becomes the Tamar once it joins the North Esk, which is a bit further north of where we are at the moment. This bridge is an iron bridge that was built in the 1800s. When it was first built, it was a single lane, so traffic could only move in one direction at once, and then later on a second span was added. The first span was designed and built in England and then shipped out here and assembled, and the second span was built in Launceston and assembled and put on. Before the bridge was built, if you wanted to cross the river, you had to get a boat, like a punt, and I guess that was a daily occurrence because there were lots of people then who had houses up in Trevellyn who had to get down into the CBD for work and so on. Now, the concrete bridge you can see just directly ahead of me here is the West Tamar Highway overpass. I'm not counting that as officially one of the bridges that I'm talking to you about today, but it goes over the Tamar there and is part of the West Tamar Highway that goes from Launceston through to Beaconsfield and beyond. Now, I'm on the Royal Park here, and if you look back, if you're looking at this in full screen, you look back, you can see the overpass and the King's Bridge behind it, and if you look at the right angle, they almost look like they're one bridge, one's built over the other. Now, the next bridge is the pedestrian bridge, which is off to the left-hand side here, that crosses over the sea from the seaport to Riverbend Park. It was built when the Silo Hotel was being built and when the Riverbend Park was being built. I think it opened in about 2018. It has a plastic deck, that plastic planking that's made from recycled plastic bags and things, and a steel structure, and I think the railings and so on are stainless steel. Before this bridge was built, there wasn't much call to go over the river here, but you had to go by the Charles Street Road Bridge, which is just off to the right here, and I'll show you that in the next clip. So you can just see it in the right-hand side of that picture there. And so this is the Charles Street Bridge, which was across the North Esk River. I think it was built in about the 1950s, but I'm willing to be corrected. I know there is a plaque on the right-hand side of the bridge when I'm looking at it now, down near the apartments, that tells a little bit more about the bridge. And I think it was built by the Department of Public Works for the Tasmanian government when governments had such things as Departments of Public Works, basically concrete and steel bridge that is functional without being particularly attractive or stylish. This next bridge you can just see off to the left-hand side, there is the Tamar Street Bridge. Even though it doesn't cross the Tamar Street is on the right-hand side of the bridge, and Invermay Road is on the other side of the bridge, past the roundabout. It goes across the North Esk River. I think it was probably built about the same time as the Charles Street Bridge, a very similar style, concrete and steel, functional rather than stylistic. It does its job though, which is of course to span the North Esk River and allow traffic to get from parts of the CBD to Invermay and beyond to Newstead and places like that. Now, this next bridge here is a pedestrian bridge that links the University of Tasmania student accommodation, which is on the left-hand side, with the University of Tasmania lecture rooms and so on, which is on the right-hand side. It crosses the North Esk River. It was built in the early 2020s, I think, and it was built in a couple of stages. The first stage was this section that I'm running on now, leading to the ramp that I'm going to take a right-hand turn onto shortly, and that was built first, and then later when the university buildings, which you can see in the background there, when they were built and students were then able to travel across the bridge to their lectures, the second part over Boland Street, which is just down at the bottom of this ramp, was added on to the bridge, so the students can cross from accommodation to lectures without having to cross the busy road and without delaying the traffic, without causing any traffic delays and so on. It's a more of an iconic bridge, so not only is it functional, it has a bit of style about it as well. Steel and concrete base and stainless steel railings. Now, I've got a bit of running to do before I come to the next bridge. So here I am at Hobbler's Bridge Road, and off to the right hand side behind those cars you can see Hobblers Bridge, and you can probably see it a bit better here, and I'm pointing it out now, so if you're looking in full screen you'll be able to see it. Again, it's just a steel and concrete bridge. It crosses the North Esk River, and if you follow that road it takes you through to St Leonard's and Waverley, and then on to Scottsdale and St Helens down on the east coast. Now, I was running through here yesterday and I referred to poplar trees and autumnal colours, and I think I was, well, I know I was wrong, because there are no poplar trees here, and the autumnal colours were actually shades in the light rather than any changes in the leaves. So I don't think we're quite ready for autumn just yet, and these trees you can see are all, I think, native Australian species, mostly eucalyptus trees. Not sure about the other species, but there's certainly no poplar trees here. The bridge ahead here is the, I think it's called the Bells Bay Railway Line, because the line goes up to Bells Bay, which is on the east coast up near Georgetown. There's a large industrial complex there. The railway line only takes freight because there's no passenger rail in Tasmania anywhere. So coming up to the end of the North Esk Trail, and this bridge you can see here is Henry Street, and I didn't cross that bridge, I ran beside it, and now I'm on the Brown Bridge, as I call it, because the planks here of this bridge are brown and it crosses the North Esk River. The decking is made of plastic, and so I'm running up again towards the Tamar Street Bridge, and I was trying to point out here that you might, if you were looking in full screen, be able to see some tidal marks on the piers. Here I am on the Esplanade going towards the Charles Street Bridge, which is off to the right there, and in this little bit I'm pointing out the tide marks on the pedestrian bridge at the seaport, and you can see where the water comes up to in the tide marks as I'm pointing them out there. So I'm on the seaport here again, looking at Royal Park, looking across to where you can see the West Tamar Bridge and the King's Bridge behind it. These videos are probably best viewed in full screen so you get a better view of what I'm talking about. So you can get a better view of the King's Bridge and the arches that form the bridges. I'm coming up this set of stairs here. You can just hopefully see some of that archwork just here, and the intricate steel and metal work that was put into designing this and building this bridge. And so going across the bridge here, Cataract Gorge would be on the left hand side looking up. You would look up the gorge from here. One of the iconic features, of certainly the most iconic feature I think in Launceston. I have to be careful coming to the end of this bridge here because there's a fairly steep, sharp slope, and they're doing some work on the pathway at the moment. You can see some and there's loose gravel, so it just means being a bit careful going down the hill here. On this section here. Alright, so I'm coming up to finish now, and you can see that run took me 13 and a bit kilometres and took me an hour and 25 minutes or thereabouts. And I'm just going to do my cool down. There's a map at the end here to see if you can find out where all these bridges are. There's no prize for if you're able to find them, but if you follow the map you should be able to see where they all are. I'm just going to go up this little track here for a little way to do a bit of a cool down. There's a bridge just around the corner here. It's more of a crossing over a stormwater gully than anything, and I don't think it has a name, so I haven't included it in the filming. Or I've included in the film, but I haven't got much to say about it. You can see it's what it is by just looking at it. Well, thank you for watching. If you have a comment, you know what to do. If you'd like to share the video or subscribe to the channel, I'd appreciate it. Have a good day, and I'll talk to you when I'm making the next running video, which will be fairly shortly, I hope.